Liberal Party today who are waging a major attack on our education. They want to make a major funding cut of 20%. They want to decrease the threshold at which we have to repay our education.
Legacy empowerment, as in refugees and asylum seekers dying at sea because of the brutal border regime that he escalated over the course of 11 years, the ban on same-sex marriage that his government instituted in 2004, the gutting of healthcare, the gutting of education, undermining student rights and the rights of workers, instituting the ABCC, and demonise the people who are actually fighting against all of the shit things that happen under this system that the Liberal government are also responsible for. The government isn't attacking students, isn't fucking us over or stealing money from our graves when it isn't digging the heel into refugees. It's attacking our brothers and sisters in the union and particularly the CFMEU. Shame! So I think it's fantastic that there's people here from the CFMEU to show solidarity with our struggle. The ABCC is a fucking disgrace. It's an anti-democratic measure to destroy and criminalise unionism in this country. It's a way to weaken our side, to weaken all our struggles and everything we stand for. CFMEU, here to stay. CFMEU, here to stay. CFMEU, here to stay. CFMEU, here to stay. The last figure of how much is in these offshore bank accounts is $21 trillion. Can you even imagine that sum? $21 trillion. That is a criminal amount of money that could actually be invested in education, that could actually be invested in healthcare, that could be invested in public transport, that could be invested into our future that they want to whip out. So it's no wonder that they're introducing laws to criminalise our activity, to decriminalise students, to criminalise unions. And I think the fact that there's so many of us here today shows that we're all on the same side, we're all fighting the same battle.
Your bosses, money for the bosses. Turnbull, get out. We know what you're all about. Cost your bosses, money for the bosses. Turnbull, get out. We know what you're all about. Money for the bosses. Turnbull, get out. We know what you're all about. The rise. Money for the bosses. Money for the bosses. Turnbull, get out. We know what you're all about. Your bosses, money for the bosses. Turnbull, get out. We know what you're all about.
Excuse me, guys, please off the road.
Money for the bosses. Turnbull, get out. We know what you're all about. Your bosses, money for the bosses. Turnbull, get out. We know what you're all about. Your bosses, money for the bosses. Turnbull, get out. We know what you're all about. Your bosses, money for the bosses. Turnbull, get out. We know what you're all about. Your bosses, money for the bosses. Turnbull, get out. We know what you're all about. Your bosses, money for the bosses. Turnbull, get out. We know what you're all about. Your bosses. When the liberals are in town, shut it down. When the liberals are in town, shut it down. Shut it down. When the liberals are in town, shut it down. Shut it down. When the liberals are in town, shut it down. Shut it down. When the liberals are in town, shut it down. When the liberals are in town, shut it down. Shut it down. When the liberals are in town, shut it down. Shut it down. When the liberals are in town, shut it down. Shut it down. When the liberals are in town, when the liberals are in town, shut it down. Shut it down. When the liberals are money for our education. Money for our education. Money for our education. Not for wars and deportation. Money for our education. Not for wars and deportation. Money for our education. Not for wars and deportation. Money for our education. Not for wars and deportation. Money for our education. Not for wars and deportation. Money.
having tonight. There's going to be a protest next week, April 13. Students are coming out to protest against the terrible cuts that the Liberal government is putting against students, workers and migrants.
I thought it was important to come out and tell Malcolm Turnbull and Tony Abbott and John Howard that they're not welcome in Melbourne. It might have been 20 years since the election of the Howard government, but we remember the crimes of that government, and we realise that Turnbull and Abbott before them are continuations of the attacks that were commenced under the Howard government, and these people need to be opposed wherever they go.
Do you know how much it costs to eat here tonight? $1,100 fucking dollars. That money could go to a student from a low economic background, a place where they could rise themselves up, because education is emancipation. Scum like this that go in here and flaunt their money, and they've all got an offshore in Panama and bullshit like that. We've heard about that this week. We are onto them, and they are taking from those that need it the most. We are onto them, and they'll be protesting everywhere they go. I just wanted to make that point about that hypocrisy. It's a fucking disgrace.
So why are we here today? Because Turnbull is trying to fuck us up in our education. Dereg has been defeated more than once. Twice, exactly. Yet they're trying again. It's unpopular. We, as the student movement, have shown them once before and twice before, and even maybe 3 times before, that we can fucking beat this, and they should not even be here sitting with their expensive dinners when we are going to have to be in a lifetime of debt. You've got 20% funding cuts still on the table, starving universities of being able to provide quality education for students, and then they're just going to give students another 10% of the burden of funding because, the government can't do that. Shame!
I'm from the Refugee Action Collective, as Annika said, and we're over there, and perhaps if the police hadn't been so full on, more of us would be happy to be over here, so thank you for the welcome. And speaking of welcomes, couldn't quite believe the event that we ended up protesting today. We heard that Malcolm Turnbull was coming to town, but really to have all of them in one room at one time, what else could they expect? What else could they expect but to have people turn out to protest? Wherever they go, we will go to protest them. We have in that room a legacy. That dinner that they're having tonight is celebrating 20 years of the Howard government's election. That means 20 years since Howard government refugee policies. That means 20 years since we began the road to boat turnbacks, since we began the road to offshore processing, and every government along the way has made their shameful contribution to this. And a lot of those architects are inside that room sitting down to a $1,100 a head dinner as we speak.
Alright, well today we're here protesting the attacks on higher education that the Turnbull government has continued with. Deregulation has been shelved for the last 7 months, and the last few weeks we've heard that it's come back. The other issues that are on the agenda is that they want to keep the 20% funding cut to universities and also change the burden of funding universities back onto the students by changing the 60% government funded, 40% student funded arrangement to 50-50. This doesn't fix the debt crisis. We've seen in articles recently that fee deregulation is fiscally irresponsible, and there is no reason why it should be kept as government policy. We want fully funded university that ensures the quality of education for all students and doesn't lock out any marginalised groups.
We gotta beat
when the Pacific Solution was in its heyday in 2002, I was at Woomera Detention Centre. That was the brainchild of John Howard. And I was working as a psychologist there. And when I came out 6 weeks later, I felt the only thing I could do was to call it and blow the whistle, so to speak. And I did. And there was a lot of groundswell against the Pacific Solution. And I think eventually it led to Howard's downfall. But unfortunately, we're exactly where we were before, and perhaps it's even worse now. Because although the conditions in Woomera were terrible, from what I can gather, and the refugees I've counselled who've come out of Manus, Manus Mark 1, the conditions there are just horrendous. And even showing no compassion for their children. Now that's a very totalitarian way to treat a people. It's very genocidal actually to start targeting children.
Sorry. Beat back on Turnbull's attacks, you gotta beat back Turnbull's attacks, you gotta beat back on Turnbull's attacks, you gotta beat back 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 on Turnbull's
Get used to this, mate. Get used to it. Get used to it. Everywhere you go, mate.
We will stand, we will fight. Education is our right. We will stand, we will fight. Education is our right. We will stand, we will fight. Education is our right.
Get used to it. Get used to it, liberals. Get used to it. Get used to it. Get used to it. Now, here's John Howard, the fucking pockets. So we're here to say that we want to take it back. We want to fight for free education. We want to fight for proper health care. And we're sick and tired of liberal cuts to social services.
I didn't get hit because as soon as I turned around.
Bullshit, come off it. Our education is not for profit. People make money off war criminals. Liberal scum. Everywhere you go, you're going to get caught. You're going to get dogged by people who are sick of your attacks on refugees. You are a scumbag. Child abuser. Child abuser.
Our education is not for profit. Bullshit.
Abusers. Child abusers.
I'm a fire.
Child abusers.
Come off it. I'm a abusers.
Child abusing homophobes. Child abusing homophobes right this way. Child abusing homophobes right this way. Child abusing homophobes right this way. Child abusing homophobes. Right this way. Everywhere you go. Everywhere you go, the homophobes are going to be there.
Come off it. Our education is not for profit. Bullshit. Come off it. Our education
Hear the war criminals.
is not for profit.
Daddy paid tonight, did he? You scumbag. No worries.
How's my order?
Come off it. Our education is not for profit.
Here they come. Let's go.
Fuck off! We will fight. Education is our right. We will stand. We will fight. Education is our right. We will stand. We will fight. Education is our right. We will stand. We will fight. Education is our right.
War criminals!
No education cuts. No education cuts. No education cuts. No ifs, no buts. No education cuts. No ifs, no buts. No education cuts. No ifs, no buts. No education cuts.
This is the man who punched someone in the face.
No education cuts.
Yeah, you punched someone in the face.
It just shows that you're not shit, mate. You understand? That means you don't know anything you're talking about.
You don't have to be violent. He did, you liar. You weren't even there. I saw him punch someone in the face.
No buts. No education cuts. No ifs. No buts. No education cuts. No ifs. No buts. No education cuts. No ifs. No buts. No education cuts. When the liberals are in town, shut it down. Shut it down. When the liberals are in town, shut it down. Shut it down. When the liberals are in town, shut it down. Shut it down.
So you can kill them in your fucking detention centers, you feel?
When the liberals are in town, shut it down. Shut it down.
Fucking heroes could get it. Did you get that when the guest grabbed me in the neck? No, I missed it. Did you get that?
Oh, yeah, just shoot it. Why don't you get bullied school, then get a gun because you can't get a real job. You can't get a real job. You're not smart enough. You're not smart enough. Yeah, seriously, mate. You know you're a dickhead. You know it.
No ifs, no buts, no education cuts. No ifs, no buts, no education cuts. Shame, shame, liberal shame. Shame, liberal shame. Shame, liberal shame. Shame the liberals in the sea. Education should be in the sea. Education should be free. Shut the liberals in the sea. Education should be free. Shut the liberals in the sea. Education should be free. Shut the liberals in the sea. Education should be free. Shut the liberals in the sea.
Take him something.
Universities and round of applause to everyone who's in here. It's been fantastic. And we've made it very clear that this is not just a one-off demonstration. This is part of sending a message to the Liberal Party of Australia that every time they try to gather in one of our cities, every time that disgusting Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull or fossils from the past John Howard dares to show their face, we'll be there to confront them and to send them a message loud and clear that as students, we won't stand for their attacks on our education. As unionists, we won't stand for their attacks on the working class. And as progressive people in this country, we won't stand for their reactionary agenda against every oppressed group in our society. We'll instead stand up and fight.
Let's all walk off together. That sounds like a good idea.
No fees, no corporate universities, no cuts. No fees, no corporate universities, no cuts. No fees, no corporate universities, no cuts. No fees, no corporate universities, no corporate universities, no cuts. No fees, no corporate universities, no corporate universities, no cuts.
Next time we'll see you, we're going to go like this to you. Give him a wink. Pretty bad. We made a massive impact on their little fancy dinner, and I think it would have been pretty ordinary going in, which is what you get when you support war criminals and when you support child abusers, which is what the Liberal Party and any of their supporters do. I know for a fact that many of them had an unpleasant time getting in. If a Liberal Party member turns up anywhere, on campus, on the street, and they try to play around with our sense of justice in this town, and they try and spruik their refugee-hating, child-abusing, war-profiteering and money-laundering, non-tax-paying policies, they will be met by the people of Melbourne with as much as we can give them in a peaceful
and in a civil way. And I just want to say to the Victorian Police Force, it is an absolute disgrace what we have seen over the last 12 months. The engagement and the deployment of chemical weapons against peaceful and civil protesters, it has got to be stopped. It has got to be shelved. It cannot continue. We are talking about working class people, mums and dads, pensioners, students, people who are looking for a fair go, and they are being attacked by people like this who should have a good hard look at what they're doing for a living, and they should really focus on supporting the people that are trying to support their kids' education, their kids' healthcare. These people are nothing but class traitors, and I want them to think about that tonight, because when their kids are able to get an education or go and see a doctor because of our fight, they won't be thanking us. Instead, they're injuring us, and I'm just appalled with the behaviour of the Victorian Police tonight.